Formula One engineers and drivers share a fierce competition. They're always hunting for new tech and ideas, aiming to get that extra advantage on the track. This drive for innovation, or what we can call the unfair advantage, sometimes leads F1 teams to bend the rules a bit too much. Some ideas were rule benders, some were rule breakers, and a few got axed because other teams got jealous. Here are 10 genius F1 innovations that were outlawed. One designer, Derek Gardner, thought more wheels meant more power. His Tyrrell P34 had 4 small front tires and regular rear tires. Why? Gardner believed the small front tires give better grip, and maybe they helped with aerodynamics. The car didn't win much, but it became a famous F1 car. Even though Tyrrell didn't hit the jackpot, other teams couldn't resist trying 6 wheels. March showed off a car with 4 big rear wheels in 1977, but they ran out of money to finish it. Ferrari thought about putting 4 wheels on 1 rear axle, like a pickup truck. And in 1982, Williams built a prototype with 6 wheels, called the FW08B. They believed it would make fitting aerodynamic stuff easier. It showed promise in tests, but before it could race, the powers that be banned 6-wheeled cars in 1983, putting an end to this wild idea in F1. The Brabham BT46B is also known as the fan car. Back in 1978, the British Brabham team went wild at the Swedish Grand Prix. Their car had a fan that sucked air from under the car through the engine bay. It was a clever way to make the car stick to the track better. Naked Lauda drove it to a win, but other teams didn't buy the idea that the fan was just for cooling the engine. The big boss, Bernie Ecclestone, decided it was better to retire the car than fight about it. This is a system that automatically adjusts to changes in the road, which is a regular feature in today's cars, but oddly absent in Formula One. The story begins in the early 1980s when Lotus pioneered a computer-controlled hydraulic suspension. However, it was Williams who took active suspension to new heights, clinching consecutive world championships in 1992 and 1993 with the FW14B and FW15C. Yet, success attracted critics. Other teams grew envious, and rulemakers frowned upon the perceived simplicity of driving with active suspension. Critics argued that the technology favored richer teams, making it harder for the less affluent ones to compete. Consequently, F1 banned active suspension, along with most electronic driver aids, by the end of 1993, putting an end to this incredible technology. Traction control, another familiar technology on today's roads, shares a similar fate in F1. Using electronics to prevent wheel slippage can be a game changer on both slippery roads and racetracks. However, like active suspension, F1 bid farewell to traction control in the 1993 season. The ban aimed to up the driving challenge and level the playing field among teams. Ironically, the controversy around traction control reached its peak in 1994 when Benetton faced accusations. F1's governing body, the FIA, investigated the Benetton B194's suspicious software allegedly related to traction control. Despite the intrigue, investigators couldn't definitively prove its use, and the matter was dropped. Michael Schumacher went on to claim the 1994 championship, but the traction control saga remained a topic of discussion. The FIA faced challenges in effectively enforcing the ban on traction control, leading to its reintroduction in 2001. However, this second chance was short-lived, as it was banned once again in 2008. The FIA took a decisive step by implementing a standardized electronic control unit, aiming to thwart teams from employing illegal software related to traction control. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, winning in Formula One was synonymous with mastering ground effect. This concept, initially observed in aircraft design, harnessed the airflow around a wing close to the ground to generate extra lift. The breakthrough came with Lotus, as F1 teams realized that ground effect could amplify downforce while keeping drag to a minimum. F1 engineers transformed cars with ground effect by channeling air into side pods with wing-shaped elements. These cars had sliding skirts that sealed the bottom, creating a low-pressure zone, effectively pulling the car onto the track. The Lotus 78 was the pioneer, but soon other teams adopted this groundbreaking idea. By the early 1980s, ground effect paired with powerful turbocharged engines, propelled F1 to unprecedented levels of performance. However, this golden era didn't last. In 1983, a new rule mandated flat floors for all F1 cars, signaling the end of the ground effect era. Safety concerns arose due to the higher cornering speeds of these cars, with fears of a catastrophic loss of downforce if the underbody seal was compromised. But before that, we know you wouldn't want to miss out on more exclusive content like this. So, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay updated with all the latest in the world of Formula One. Let us move on. In the 1980s, F1 teams dove into the world of exotic fuels, seeking to maximize the car's every aspect, including the fuel that powered it. As fuel efficiency became crucial, teams delved into extreme measures. Honda and Shell concocted a nearly pure toluene fuel, a known carcinogen. However, new rules were enforced in 1993, mandating that F1 fuel be similar to regular gasoline and curbing the use of extreme fuels. Teams still tinker with formulations for a performance edge, some resorting to burning engine oil for added oomph. In the late 1990s, McLaren introduced an intriguing innovation called brake steer. The 1997 McLaren MP412 featured a second brake pedal that controlled the rear wheels only. This system aimed to combat understeer, where the car feels like it's plowing ahead even during a turn. By applying brakes to one rear wheel during a corner, McLaren claimed the brake steer system shaved half a second per lap. Kept as a closely guarded secret, it was eventually exposed when a photographer noticed glowing brake discs mid-corner, an unusual braking spot. Other teams' pressure led to the ban of brake steer in the early 1998 season. Despite this setback, McLaren clinched the championship that year using a car with conventional brakes and later incorporated a version of brake steer in some of its road cars. Aerodynamics takes center stage in modern Formula One cars. While the obvious improvements have been either banned or maximized, the focus has shifted to minor incremental tweaks. This pursuit of perfection has led to the adornment of current F1 cars with various add-ons resembling carbon fiber sculptures, sometimes even shark fins, that briefly grace the scene. Shark fins made their debut in the 2017 season as part of a significant overhaul in F1 car design. These engine cover fins were intended to complement smaller rear wings, altering the aerodynamic dynamics. Some teams aimed for performance gains with this new setup, while others saw the fins as convenient spaces to display car numbers. However, the honeymoon for shark fins was short-lived, lasting just one season. Teams, divided on their appeal, voiced concerns about the aesthetics, with McLaren's Zak Brown delivering the decisive blow by arguing that shark fins left insufficient space for sponsor logos. Fast forward to the 1990s, and Williams, one of F1's heavyweights, decided to dabble with an unconventional idea: a continuously variable transmission, CVT. CVTs typically use belts instead of gears, improving fuel efficiency and delivering smoother acceleration. In 1993, Williams equipped its FW15C with a prototype CVT, a car that would ultimately clinch the championship that year. The hope was that the CVT would serve as a secret weapon, complementing the already revolutionary semi-automatic gearbox and active suspension. The CVT presented potential advantages, such as eliminating gear changes to shave fractions of a second off lap times. The absence of fixed gear ratios could also make it easier to keep the engine in its power band. Unfortunately, Williams never had the opportunity to explore these possibilities. New rules in 1994 mandated a specific number of fixed gear ratios for transmissions, part of a broader effort to rein in high-tech gadgets in F1. This change disproportionately affected Williams, a major user of electronic driver aids. Despite this setback, CVTs have become a standard feature in road cars from manufacturers like Nissan, Subaru, and Honda. The tale of Williams' experiment with CVTs reveals the intricate dance between innovation and regulation in the world of Formula One. Colin Chapman, the brain behind Lotus, was known for his mantra of simplify and add lightness. However, in a curious departure from this philosophy, the Lotus 88 emerged as a unique creation with not one but two chassis, one nestled within the other. This unconventional twin chassis design aimed to capitalize on brand effect, a concept Lotus had pioneered in Formula One. By 1981, when the Lotus 88 made its debut, Rule makers were already clamping down on ground effect. They outlawed the sliding skirts that were used to seal the car's underside to the track and insisted on a gap between the car's bottom and the track. These changes rendered the crucial underbody seal of a ground effect car impossible. Undeterred, Chapman devised an ingenious solution, a secondary outer chassis on which all the bodywork was mounted. This outer chassis could move independently of the inner chassis, the primary structural element of the car. As aerodynamic forces pushed the outer chassis down onto the track, the essential seal was recreated. Despite its innovation, the Lotus 88 never saw the racetrack. Swift protests from rival teams led to its ban. In 1983, new regulations marked the definitive end of ground effect cars in Formula One. F1 history is like a treasure chest full of forbidden tech stories. However, jumping to the present, Formula One doesn't see as many wild tech adventures as it did in the 1970s, 1980s, or 1990s. Some folks say the racing has become too predictable, and the tech stuff has lost its spark. Years of dealing with oddities like Brabham's fan car or McLaren's brake steer led to strict rules, making everything more or less the same. Teams, though, are always on the lookout for a sneaky advantage, scanning the rulebook like sharp-eyed lawyers. With a significant rule change coming in 2021, there's hope that F1 might get a dose of fresh and exciting stuff to spice things up. What are your thoughts about these banned innovations? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.